or is welcome to our Science Policy Center special lecture series of this semester. Today we have a very distinguished scholar, young scholar, Dr. Sharique Manazir, who is working in the field of STS. Is a very renowned scholar, budding scholar in field of STS, particularly on the ICT technology and digital platforms. He has been engaged in working on the digital democracy, participation of the people in the cyber space, and emerging frontiers in new technology that today we are witnessing is the chat GPT AI-based artificial intelligence base, which is shaping and redefining the academia. Lots of talks are going on that how it is going to change or challenge our academia, our student, our research, or even the search practices that we do. This is a very, it is coming with a lots of opportunities, but also there are lots of challenges and apprehension with this platform. So today we have a very well-versed scholar, Dr. Sharique Manazir, who is associated with Indian Business School. Recently, he has published a very good policy documents that was released by the ministry, and also I think e-commerce platform, that how the digital platform are going to change our e-commerce practices. So welcome to our platform. Welcome to our center, Dr. Manazir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir.
Today we have, yeah. So welcome.
Yeah.
Take around 40-45 minutes for your talk, and after that
sure.
we will our discussion.
Sure. Thanks, Professor Madhav Govind. For all of you who don't know, Professor Govind has also been my PhD guide. Whatever I've learned, it's because of his teachings. Whatever research I do, he has been a big inspiration all this while. What I do, like Sarah said, I work in the area of science, technology, and society, especially mapping impact of various technologies on society. Currently, I'm based at Bharati Institute of Public Policy at Indian School of Business. I won't take much of your time. We'll directly, jump to the topic of our day, that is ChatGPT. What I'll do is I'll basically begin with basic introduction. More than introduction, I'll begin with the apprehensions and discourse that is going on in mainstream media right now with regard to ChatGPT, how it has evolved, how it works, briefly. Then, since we are talking about academia, with Indian academia in focus right now, so I'll briefly touch upon the new national education policy and how it talks about integration of technology for learning. And then we look into various pros and cons of ChatGPT. Then we'll try to see each cons and apprehensions rather than challenges, I could put it. Moving further, I'll try to see, since we are discussing it in a science, technology, and society center, so I'll go through one of the theoretical frameworks and try to map the technology platform of ChatGPT through that technological framework. And then I'll briefly discuss what currently Microsoft and OpenAI is doing in India, and what are the future discourses around it. So I'll just share my screen with all of you. Okay. So, these are the headlines that all of us has gone through directly or indirectly, briefly. Various institutions and colleges came up with either banning ChatGPT use in various forms. The news came out that ChatGPT has passed the law exam, medical science exam, management exam from institutions. and then there was itself and the discourse to ban it. I think in some of the countries like in France, USA, and some of the colleges in India also it was banned. Uh, that's how the normal interaction of people who have not been into technology and science technology society domain came into contact with the platform itself. Now, to give a brief idea about how this particular platform, like I would say, came into prominence, we can understand the mass hysteria behind it. That it attained, so it was basically launched on 30th November for use by common users. By 5th of December, it already had 1 million users. And then in the time gap of next 2 months, it crossed 200 million users worldwide. Now, if we try to see the user base and if we try to map the same kind of user base from, I mean, if we talk about 1 million user base, Netflix, it took almost around 3.5 years. Instagram, it took 2.5 months. So, and that brought a lot of discourse around it. Even people who were not into technology domain started wondering what it is all about and what is happening over here. Now, so what GPT stands for is basically generative pre-trained transformer, and I believe most of you have. What I was saying was, so it basically the previous models of GPT has been trained into majorly 6 group of data sets that include Wikipedia, books, journals, Reddit links, common crawls, and others. Now, apart in these 6 groups or categories, would we say, some of the information is disclosed by OpenAI, some of the information is not disclosed by OpenAI, which is not there in public domain. The information sets that they have Microsoft Azure platform. Now, if most of you have gone through today's news, there was a news that Tesla's founder was not very happy with the way Microsoft is dominating OpenAI. Why is that? It's because OpenAI uses Microsoft Azure platform to run the GPT models. It provides, Microsoft Azure provides the computing infrastructure, which includes the scalable computing resources, storage, and other ancillary services. Now, if we go a little back, when OpenAI was established way back in 2015, Microsoft actually decided to fund it. So starting from 2019, there has been 3 phases of funding. One was in 2019, then in 2021, and then in this year, in 2023, they announced that they are going to fund. So OpenAI is, on one way, it's funded by Microsoft. It's a large chunk is funded by Microsoft. At the same time, OpenAI is based on Microsoft Azure platform. It's a vertical and horizontally scalable platform. So any organization or corporation who wants to use OpenAI technology, they can use the Microsoft Azure platform. So if you have heard in the recent days that there is a software that is based on that uses ChatGPT or that uses GPT, or for example, Bing uses GPT-4, it's all based on Microsoft Azure platform. Now, what is ChatGPT? How it works? So the story started in January 2022. Instruct GPT was created. Now, Instruct GPT, what it does was GPT-3 model. I hope you all understand by now. So GPT-3 model was trained on large set of data sets of 6 categories. In that trained model, what OpenAI did was they brought in a new technological perspective, which is called RLHF, reinforcement learning from human feedback. Now, when ChatGPT came up, it basically combined this Instruct GPT technological aspects, GPT plus RLHF, and there was this new concept called model behavior guidelines for safety. We'll see in slides ahead what is this model behavior guideline for safety. So that's how ChatGPT was born, and that's why it is called not called GPT-3, it's called GPT 3.5. That in a lot of articles, if you'll go, they use the term fine-tuned GPT. And if you can see the figure, So if you see, there is RLHF GPT-3, and then when ChatGPT was created in November 22, they combined GPT-3, RLHF, and safety aspects. Now, ChatGPT-3 uses the same pre-training dataset, like I said, to ensure what happens is to ensure large user safety and the misuse of technology to limit AI from overstretching its own boundaries. The safety features are required. So model behavior guidelines are designed. And these guidelines are, so whenever we talk about any software, whenever we download any software, most of the time we go through user guidelines and policies, terms and conditions. So in case of AI-backed software, these are guidelines not for user, but these are guidelines, model behavior guidelines for the AI itself, how it will interact with the user. So there is one set of guideline which is for user to interact with the platform, and then this model behavior guideline is for the AI to interact with the user. As of now, what has happened is that ChatGPT has not disclosed its complete model behavior guideline, but there was a lot of hue and cry going around regarding how it works, how it interacts with users. So just last week, they came up with a portion of the guideline that includes the sensitive aspects related to political and controversial topics. So anyone who is trying to, prompt politically sensitive information, perspective, or controversial information through ChatGPT, these are the guidelines they have created, which the AI will adhere to and will follow in responding to the user. Now, the one thing which we majorly confuse while dealing with the platform is, unlike the previously the search engine initially, they used to work, in directory based model. Then came our algorithm based model, where Google and previous version of Bing that used to work. Unlike those platform, ChatGPT works with pre-trained data sets. So if you will go to ChatGPT platform, you will find it says majority of the information is still 2021. So before 2021, they have gone through all the data set that they have been fed into, and the additional information that we put inside it for prompting it to give response throughout the time. Now, okay. Now, how it works, why and how beautifully it turns out working. So, for example, like I was saying, the reinforcement learning from human feedback technology, how that technology works. So what it does is basically, suppose, I as a user ask the ChatGPT, explain moon landing, like you will explain it to a 6-year-old kid. Now it will give a response based upon the data set that it has gone through through various categories. Now, based on that information it will fetch out some information. Now, what happened was there were a set of people who fine-tuned these responses based upon the nature of the response required. Now, the same action was done on a larger prompt categories. For example, now there are 10 or 20 people asking the same set of question, and depending upon the way you prompt. So for example, if you will say, you ask, you type on the ChatGPT, where is Jawaharlal Nehru University, they'll give you a response. But if you will ask them, where is Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi, you might get a more detailed response. So based upon the way the question was prompt, a labeler ranking system was divided, and that labeler ranking system was used to create a reward-based model. Now, that revised reward-based model every time works, and it improves as more and more people interact. Now, I understand it could be little technical, so what I'll do is I'll try to explain you in a very lucid way. For example, just assume you have a robot servant at your home, and he or it wishes you in the morning, says, "Good morning, sir." Now you say, "No, you will not greet me as good morning, sir, in the every morning. You will say, 'Hello, I am robot, good morning.'" Now the robot knows that I have to respond it in this particular way. Now you imagine the same scenario with all the, imagine you have 5 family members in your home, and the 5 family members guide the robot to greet them in 5 different ways. So the robot knows, okay, I have to greet 5 different people in 5 different ways. Now, just imagine a whole colony now where every family members of each home is training that robot that you have to greet me in this way, you have to greet me in this way, and you have to greet me in this way. Now what happens is, what GPT does is it uses the reinforcement learning from human feedback. So the robot knows what is the best way possible to respond on the basis of prompting. What has been told to me, exact words, and based upon those words, I'll give response to that. So in a very simple way, that's how of chat GPT works, and that is why this more by interacting with, and then you say, okay, fine, this is the answer, what is this? So it starts getting confused. Okay. Now, since we have seen how the technology works briefly, I'll jump to the new national education policy of 2020. If some of you have gone through the draft, it basically talks about in detail about how technology can be used to, integrate and bolster the 4 pillars of this policy: accessibility, equity, equality, and accountability. The new national education policy envisions the extensive use of technology in teaching, learning, education planning, and management as one of the fundamental principles that will guide both education system in future as well as the individual institutional growth. The policy proposes setting up a National Educational Technology Forum, whose work will be to do extensive research to look into the new advanced technologies like artificial intelligence and how they can be harnessed to enhance learning, assessment, planning, administration for schools and higher education institutions. Now, coming to the cons and pros aspect of ChatGPT, so I'll begin with the pros first. So ChatGPT, as a researcher, as an academician, we all know that it can automate and help in students' assignment. That is major. There's a major concern also of the academic institutions that students are getting help from the platform. Then what are they going to learn? It can actually help people in exam grading. It helps beautifully in creating starting point for lectures, assignments, software codings, presentations, drafts to begin with. It helps you with the draft structure, formats, emails, basic information. It can actually connect researchers like us with brief relevant resource points, like the way in which if you go to Bing, which is empowered by Chat GPT-4, you get a lot of information. Now, these pros, again, are turning out due to the apprehension as cons. So what are the major apprehension about GPT or Chat GPT, like chatbots or technologies now that, it creates job loss. There will be homogenization of knowledge and ideas. There will be lack of creative and new and fresh ideas. Plagiarism will increase. Yes, it may not, be able to thoughtfully capture the ever-evolving human nuances and complexities. Ethical bias and racism will increase. User data safety will be challenged, and it will escalate the digital divide and digital exclusion. Now, what we'll do is I'll go and we'll go ahead and see each and individual, apprehension and cons aspects, and see how does the obstacles, challenges, and cons hold true for this technology. As far as job loss and reskilling are concerned, the recent PricewaterhouseCoopers research, it says, it basically talks about job creation. So it says that, that they broadly offset in the long run by new jobs created as a result of the larger and wealthier economy. So what it says is basically that, as a technology will evolve, this technology will help in creating and, improving and empowering the economy, which will lead towards more job creation, like we saw when World Wide Web came into existence, or computer for that matter came into existence. The recent World Economic Forum's Future of Job report, it says the World Economic Forum estimates around 85 million job displacement. So it's not talking about job loss, it's talking about job displacement. At the same time, it's talking about 97 million new jobs creation. Now, why it talks about job displacement is because the nature of job will change. For example, if we take a common example of, we all remember way back in late 90s, we used to have post offices, and the official and personal communication used to take through postcards and letters, and everything changed with advent of email services through World Wide Web. And now if you go to post offices, it's way more able to do a lot of other operations and serve people in various other ways, including courier services, banking services, fast exchange of official documents, and it's backed by computer and technology and email services. So what comes into picture is the perception and understanding of reskilling. Like every technology brings with it need for reskilling. World Economic Forum says almost 50% of the existing employees they'll need reskilling by 2025. With the advent of AI and GPT and OpenAI based chat GPT and similar, like for example, you have Binge today, Bard from Google will come, and it will see a lot of vertical integrations in the form of a lot of softwares and tools being created. Some of us will discuss right now with the government of India is doing and planning to do. Okay, so the other thing which is a major important aspect is the issue of homogenization of knowledge and plagiarism. I think more of all of us know the issue of what we faced lately of the predatory journal, and we all talk about predatory journal, substandard research, plagiarism, which has been there even before the advent of AI or ChatGPT. It has been there. It's more of a human instinct and human nature rather than a problem of the technology itself. And it will indeed get replicated if we try to do it. And it has been there. And if you see about the, I'll talk about safety guidelines further. It's something that we have to control. So if we put all the apprehensions and blame of predatory journal or plagiarism on AI-based technologies, I think we need to introspect. Now, other aspect is about capturing the ever-evolving human nuances and complexities. I hope if some of you have gone through DALL-E 2 website, if people have not gone, please go there. It's again by OpenAI. What it does beautifully is you just put up your imagination there. For example, you say, I want a picture of a rat riding an elephant. It will create you a picture that have not existed previously. So you have to understand it's a phase right now. We are in a time period where artificial intelligence is very fastly learning things and trying to come up with responses. So yes, human creativity will always be valued, and it can never be replaced. But at the same time, the technology that we have created, it is trying to give as much possible results required, but it needs further controlling and safety guidelines, like I said previously. Ethical bias and racism. If you can see the picture on the slide, there's this female kid who's sitting away from the class. I hope all of you have heard or read about, gender-based biases, religion-based biases, caste-based biases, ethnicity-based biases. When we go abroad, there are, nation-based biases. And these biases are, again, these are creation of our own society. And any technology will learn it from us. So if as a society, like now, even in India, we are evolving and we are improving, the technology will itself improve with time. What comes into picture over here as the trainers and the programmers and the coders, the more and more diverse social background they come from, the more and more inclusive the programming and the training and the coding comes into picture to create a perception about the society. And you have to understand these GPT models, because they have been going through large set of data, large amount of data sets, so they have gone through a considerable amount of data set from various perspectives. So as the time goes, it is going to improve. Data privacy and security. Like all of you know, we again have, especially in India, we again have a new personal data protection bill. We are about to have a data protection law as soon as possible. Indeed, there's a difference between data privacy and security. And when we talk about platform, how it treats your data and how it uses your data is something that needs to be introspected. So these are the aspects we'll see later on when I'll put up a theoretical framework to map these issues. But that is somewhere that the platform itself needs to be questioned, and how safe the platform is as far as data safety is concerned. So as far as ChatGPT is concerned, like I said, it's based and it works on the previously provided data sets, and it goes through as of now till 2021. But you have to understand the platform itself does not, it very clearly says they do not store any data. So basically they use your data to create model to create the reward model basically. Now the problem comes at the point that if there is a vertical integration, and for example I decide to create a software program using ChatGPT, and my software app or program or tool has a different data safety norm or regulation, where I say, no, I'll store that data information, then data safety issues comes into picture. And right now we are assuming that because this technology has came up after the, if some of you have gone into discourse that the new regarding the new data privacy bill, and consultation is already complete, but indeed there is a prospect of introspection and bringing this issue into the picture, that what about the vertical integration of software programs and tools as far as the data security and privacy is concerned, especially regarding the issue of sensitivity of sensitive personal information, then inter-border data exchange, etc. Okay, digital divide and digital exclusion. To briefly clear, like this is something which me and Professor Madhav, so we used to discuss a lot during, I remember my PhD days, and that's where we differentiated it. So digital divide is basically, issue of accessibility and infrastructure. So if there is a society which does not have accessibility to technology, you provide that technology and you assume that the digital divide has subdued or it has been taken care of. Now, digital exclusion is a different concept, which a lot of times people either confuse or do not understand. Digital exclusion is more about social and demographic scenario that excludes an individual from accessing that resource. So that resource could be there, but the person might not be able to access that resource, or might not be allowed to access that resource. I'll give you an example. For example, in India, we have people from different ethnicity and demographic location, and that use, they speak in different language. So even if you provide computers to them, if somebody is well read, but in a different language or regional language, they'll have barrier to use, and they'll have issues to use digital platforms. For that's the reason most of the time now when you see government platforms, they come into with a feature of various language options. Similarly, there's a lot of research on gender aspects. When you see a female household member is not allowed to use mobile phones under various conditions and scenarios, there are a lot of applications they're not allowed to use because of the social and cultural or religious norms. So when we talk about digital exclusion, non-digital divide, uh, how is, when you talk especially in light of education, how is it going to solve that problem? Is it going to expand and enlarge the issue, extrapolate the issue, or is it going to resolve the issue? So we have to understand the barrier of any tool. So it's basically you can use and integrate into various software tools, what the government is trying to do right now, and make it more accessible or digital handhold handsets. The good thing is we have better internet connectivity today across gender, across demography. If you go through the IAMAI reports across gender and across demography, we have better internet reach, especially in last 5-6 years. And it is assumed when students are going to access these platforms, for especially just imagine a student in a rural India who do not have access to a quality teacher, if they are trying to access a question or trying to understand a question and its answer, and if they do not have a faculty or a teacher, they can use this technology to get the answer and understand the answer immediately, rather than being dependent on a human resource to explain it to them. Okay, this is a very like controversial aspect, passing the examination. So when ChatGPT came up, okay, so the technology did not came up to give examinations. These were humans who fed questions of a particular exams to it and said, okay, answer. You have to understand they have gone through all large amount of data sets, so they know a lot of subjects. So when you will ask them question, they will answer. So what the problem is, they are not meant for that job. You tried it, good, but you have to understand, rather than putting a blame to them, academia needs to introspect that the way in which questions are asked from students, we need to spread, introspect on that. A very beautiful example is a lot of good universities and colleges, they have been trying open book examination. I remember during my master's days, we were allowed to use Google, but the questions used to be so tough or complicated that unless and until you don't put your creative mind behind it, you will not be able to get the answer. So that creativity even in teaching is required now, because a very generic sense of questioning and answering a pattern, even if the institution or academic setups do not agree to the fact, it will become redundant in a very near future. Okay. Since we would try, I really wanted to look into this platform from a state perspective. There are basically four theoretical frameworks that I could come up across. One was social shaping of technology, the other one was social construction of technology, actor network theory, and then a democratic innovation framework theory. I think the platform can be understood from all the four theoretical frameworks based upon the desired question or research aspect that you are trying to look into. But I have tried to map it through a democratic innovation framework. It's basically propounded by Graham Smith to see various digital innovation framework and whether they are actually democratic or not. By democratic, he meant, are the platforms inclusive? They have a popular control mechanism. How do they take care of considered judgment aspect? How transparent the functioning is, how efficient they are, and how transferable they are. So when we talk about how inclusive the technological platform is, yes, it can be used by anyone who has access to computers. How are people provided with sound information about the issues and aspects regarding the functionality of the technology, which we call popular control? In that aspect, it is not at par, because you have to see they have not if you go on the OpenAI platform, they come up with a lot of articles and issues, briefs where they discuss how the platform is working and all. But one, you have to understand it's a relatively new concept and there's a lot of technological advancement running behind it. So they might not be willing to spill the beans at this stage. But it needs to be more open regarding how the data is being used. Even when they say they don't use it, they use the reward model, what part of the context and how long they use it, how they decompose it, how it is used for international data exchange, especially in vertical and horizontal integration of software is considered. That needs to be very thoroughly discussed. How much the platform is open to other users' values and emotions in various contexts. Now, that is something that requires academic study. To be very honest, right now, when we are talking about it, this study has not been done. How much of this process is open for scrutiny by users? No, it's not open by scrutiny by users. A lot of digital e-governance platforms, e-participation platforms, and social media platforms, they do not like this idea. And that requires academic understanding why they do not like this idea. But because if it's a for-profit organization, they will not allow you to scrutinize it. But there are various aspects of it which you can organize. For example, operating procedures, user guidelines, cultural issues. If we are talking about artificial intelligence backed, how they are catering to digital ethics aspects, race, gender and race aspects. Uh, Second last is the efficiency aspect. How less burdensome, the technology, being platform created by AI models is for basically for, the platform creators, AI model itself, the subject that we are discussing, and the end users. That again requires academic study right now at this point of stage. And now, as far as transferability is concerned, how will the same platform, it can be transferred and reused? I have to say it succeeds completely because we will discuss in the next slide how the government of India is using it. Other government across the globe are trying to integrate their own and come up with their own versions of platforms for common masses benefit using the GPT 3.5, GPT 4 versions. And again, like I said, these pillars and this theoretical framework that requires academic insight, and that is why a lot of academic research is needed in the domain. Okay. So moving forward, there is this Indian touch to ChatGPT and OpenAI, which I'm really proud of as an Indian. Most of the time, people don't know it. Satya Nadella, all of us know, Microsoft CEO, but a lot of people don't know about Meera Murthy. Meera Murthy is basically the CTO of OpenAI, the lady behind ChatGPT. And the third gentleman in the picture is Mr. Sundar Pichai. All of you know him. And the reason he's so excited is because he can see Microsoft going ahead and a lot of escalation happening at industry and government level. If some of you have gone through it, Google wanted to come up with its own set of OpenAI. There was a lot of problem. They have this BARD software tool, which they have based upon their own set of technology. They opened it up for a day or two. There was an issue. They had to back up. They are working on, which is giving them, and right now, as when we talk, OpenAI and Microsoft is giving them sleepless night, especially after the Binge launch and the integration of GPT with the Binge, which has taken the search engine perspective from to a different level. Okay, so talking about how Microsoft and OpenAI is working with Indian government, if you have came across these headlines, Indian government is working towards a ChatGPT powered WhatsApp chatbot to help farmers in regional languages to inform them about government schemes, to fill up the forms to avail government schemes, and it will be launched very soon. Government is right now working to come up with a ChatGPT based model where students that can help students to solve their homework, understand the basic theoretical concepts in multiple languages. So yes, and then recently there was a lot of Indian companies that have integrated ChatGPT, for creating various software tools for common good as well as monetary benefits. Now, at the concluding part, so I asked ChatGPT 2 questions today. I said, are you good for academia? And it said, as an AI language model, I can provide a wealth of information and knowledge that can be valuable for academic purposes. I can assist with research, provide access to a vast array of resources, and help with tasks. However, it is important to keep in mind that my responses are generated based on patterns in the data I was trained on and may not always be perfectly accurate or reflective of the most current information available. Most importantly, it is also important for humans to exercise critical thinking and engage in genuine intellectual discussion with other humans in the academic community. And lastly, I asked it, are you bad for academia? And it says, I would not say that I'm inherently bad for academia, but it is important to use me responsibly and understand my limitations. As an AI language model, I can provide access to a vast amount of information and assist with tasks such as research and summarization. However, I am not a substitute for critical thinking, analysis, and intellectual discourse among human beings. It is also important to be aware of the potential for bias in the data that I was trained on, and to exercise caution when using automated tools for academic research. Ultimately, the responsible use of AI tools like me can help to enhance academic research and learning, but it is important to use them in conjunction with human expertise and critical thinking. I think I'm done here. Have I stopped my screen sharing by any chance?
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Sharique, for your wonderful lecture and very informative lecture. Really, it was a new topic, so you made us to aware that the nuances of this technology and how it is evolving and what are the potential and what are the challenges. So thank you very much, and I hope there must be some question and observation from our audience side. So now this forum is open for your question and your observation.
Okay.
Yeah. So audience, please, if you have any question, please ask. You can also raise your hand, or if there is any question, you can also write.
Hi, Sharique, Nishant here.
Hi.
Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Sharique, I just wanted to know about the plagiarism thing that you just mentioned in your presentation, because I was like going through one of the videos about the same topic, like GPT and academia, and one of the professors mentioned over there that so like you have just like asked this question, are you bad for academia, and it has generated a response. So if you check this response in plagiarism software, any software, the software like currently doesn't detect any plagiarism in this. So do you think that is it like, I would say, for people who are currently writing papers, or even like writing their thesis, like, do you really think that chat GPT is kind of like giving them undue advantage because these responses are not being detected in plagiarism? And also, like, one of the professors mentioned that he also like asked some of the questions in the chat GPT, and the responses that were generated, he circulated them amongst his peers for grading, and he said that everyone graded them like A minus or B plus. So do you think that like until unless there is some new updates in the plagiarism detection software, this will like create an undue advantage?
Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Yeah.
I heard your question. Apologies for the inconvenience. As far as research papers are concerned, I would not suggest or recommend someone to go on ChatGPT to get ideas. It can be helpful to you get a draft structure how you can proceed with it, but one should not actually ethically or morally go for content based ideas for it. That's a no-go zone. Rather, it can be helpful for students to understand concepts. So it's like it's upon us how we try to use it. That's one part. Second part, you said then there's a professor who put up question, and then he circulated the answer or graded it. There was a case somewhere in I think in America that there was a judge who gave a judgment asking to public notice, and that indeed there has been cases. So you see, you have to understand the structure of examining students and the way students are examined and graded, that will change very fast. Even if the academic institutions, they do not agree to it, they do not want to agree to it, but the creativity and the human aspect and thought-provoking perspective that needs to be brought into picture, which has taken a backseat lately. The other part is plagiarism detection. I think there are enough tools to detect plagiarism. Issue is with when you have resources and you try to restructure the draft using ChatGPT. For that also, there are tools right now. So it's not that there is no tool. There are enough tools to you just put the article into the tool platform. It will give you that what are the percentage chances that this text has been created by technology platform itself. But I think the important part is the focus now goes on the use of, so you have to understand a lot of resources used to be there, and because of lack of resources, a lot of students used to be devoid of understanding basic concepts. A lot of time teachers used to be busy teaching the same basic concepts, theoretically writing on textbooks, boards and all. Those things will reduce. It will help researchers and teachers to focus on understanding and moving to the next stage rather than putting up too much time understanding the concept. Like I said in my presentation, plagiarism has always been there. Predatory journals have always been there before the AI-based bots came into picture, and they are going to be there. Those who want to do it, you can't teach morality and ethics to people who do not want to adhere to it. As simple as that.
Thank you. Sorry, any other question?
Yeah, sir, I would just like to add to Sharique's answer. Like, I completely agree with like his answer, like the ethical things and everything. And also he mentioned that there are some concepts which may become very easy for students to understand through ChatGPT. So I think it's time to, as like Sharique mentioned in his presentation also, that, by 2025, there will be a need of like a lot of reskilling, like learning new skills. So I think like learning how to use ChatGPT in an ethical manner and for your benefits is like should be taught to like students, and like everyone should like get to learn about it. Thank you.
Okay, so just to add over here, a lot of professors abroad, they have actually started, allowing students to use these tools depending upon the nature of assignment they have been provided. So not in all the assignments they ask the students to use these tools. At the same time, when we talk about reskilling is not required necessarily to learn how to use ChatGPT. These are simple bot platforms. So, and trust me, by January, ChatGPT came, then you realize Bing has been integrated. And by December 2023, we will have thousands and thousands of our technology. The focus should be, when you talk about reskilling, I think one cannot survive with technological know-how of how these platforms work, and how to, there's a term called digital humanities, and how technology, there's this very famous saying that, a technology success is mapped by, how it seeps into a social fabric. I forgot the name of the scholar, the one who gave the word ubiquitous computing to the world. So it is going to become part of our social fabric. So the reskilling is needed in in the aspect like how platforms are created. Today you have ChatGPT, which works on GPT 3.5. Tomorrow you'll have GPT-4, GPT-5. Google will come up with its own set of platforms. So the idea is not to get stuck with these platforms and how to use. You should be better in prompting. You should be better in creative and critical thinking, and that's how the future academia needs to move forward to.
Sharique, it is just my curiosity. I want to know, because I am immediately going to face this challenge. Suppose if I ask the same question at two different times, will it give the same answer or different answer?
Okay, so there are two things. One, a lot of people. So when you say you ask the two questions at two different times, it will answer. If it depends upon the word, exact word and sentences that you use. So
No,
it works on prompting.
Suppose if I give same question to two students, and both students are using AI tool, so will their answer be same or different?
So the student who will answer it more beautifully, who will prompt the response more beautifully, I'll give you an example. If you ask a student what is social shape, write a paragraph on social shaping of technology, and you give a certain perspective, the person who will just write social shaping of technology will get an answer. The person who will delve deep into the exact research question in which it has to be used as theoretical framework will get. It's all based on prompting, what exact words that student is asking, and based upon that the response will come. So the focus should be more on aligning theoretical framework or theoretical concept with practical understanding for innovative ideas, because and then there is a tool also where you can simply put the text. It will tell you 90% of the, it's very as simple as that. You put the text, it will tell you 90% is AI generated. You get to know, it just works just like Turnitin. So it tells you this amount of the information is created by AI. If you understand it as created by ChatGPT or Bing. So it's as simple as that. So I think as far as assignment is concerned, I think the focus should more be upon creative understanding presentation like you used to do with us. Because it's very easy for students to understand the format. For example, for us, when we were doing our PhD and MPhil masters, we used to understand what will be the first slide be like, what will be the second slide be like, what will be the order of presentation. Now you just type a topic and it will give you the first slide should include this information, second slide should include this information. So it's basically the evaluation mechanism needs to be tuned in with the changing technology.
Okay, thank you.
Also, Manazir, like when you ask some question to the chat GPT and it will give you it will generate a response. So if you don't like the response, you can regenerate the response so it gives another answer. So the question that you asked, so suppose two students, they are using the chat GPT. So there will be similarities in their answers, but there will be some points which will be differing over there.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Any other question, observation from audience side?
Very good afternoon, sir. Am I audible? This is Tushar.
Yes.
Yeah, sir. Actually, I see my question is not means I'm just having my view that whenever a new technology or is a new app came, so you see we'll see the the flip side, means the positive side as well as the negative side also. So as far as this AI tool or this kind of thing is concerned, so it's my view that we should rethink, or you can say we should be able to shift our thinking to the next orbit that currently we have, means say in terms of innovation, say in terms of creativity, say in terms of say thinking, or say means irrespective of saying that whatever the academics or the students or the things are doing, see if the plagiarism is concerned, already there are so many techniques or tools are available by which you can make your content. If it still there is a plagiarism, but the software will not be able to see. I'm not going in that detail. All of us are no see. So means my concern, or say my view is that I'm just putting my view that this means we should accept it wholeheartedly, right? And these kinds of technologies, say after pandemic, a lot of things has changed. The digitalization is at its maximum speed, means we think this pandemic already creates a mess for us, but 10 years down the line, the digitalization is in front of us, means whatever we are going to see after 10 years, I think it is now available to us, and it is with the rocket speed. So these technologies might be a chatbot, might be Bard. Sometimes the organizations are also putting these for hype, means they're creating the hype, say for publicity purpose. Or obviously, see, we can't tell anyone the ethics, or say, because there is, if you see, there is an open book exam, means there is open book exam culture over here. So once ethically, it's not right to keep book once you're giving the exam, but still the kind of question that has been asked, or some kind of case studies that has been solved, and even during that time frame, with the ample amount of books, or all the things, we are not in the position to solve it. So it's my concern, see, please correct me, please, if I am wrong, that we should accept these technologies. We should not go in the means whether the students are cheating. See, already there are some ethics, and already there are some things we can't tell, we can't teach. Even we say never says lie, always speak truth. So it's depend on person to person, their own thinking, their own way. So means I'm just saying that we should accept these technologies. We should go into the higher orbit, and whatever the repetitive task, or whether there is a technological person, whether it's an industrial person, whether it's an academician, or any general person, means who doesn't know the technology is all about, should use these AI for the benefit of society, for the benefit of mankind. It's my view. So please comment on this, please.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing is, regarding taking any technology. First of all, we have to understand why we are talking about ChatGPT. And when we are talking about ChatGPT, we are not talking about ChatGPT. We are talking about the technology behind it. This is something which was never there before. If you have heard about, for example, I'll say, artificial intelligence is here, and it's going to improve day by day, and it's one such example by it. So the kind of mesmerization we are getting right now by seeing a bot that can give you text-based answers, trust me, there's a lot coming up very fast and very soon. And now it's very different from a regular mobile application or website that we usually conventionally see. If you have read the news, so the Google is right now having sleepless night. The reason is because they do not know what to do. They used to survive on Google. The majority of the chunk of their revenue used to come from Google search. And if all of you remember, there used to be a thing called Internet Explorer on all of our laptops. And nobody ever used to use it. I'll just give me a minute. I think my laptop is discharged. Okay. So there used to be a thing called Internet Explorer. Nobody ever used it. And suddenly in last 2 months, Microsoft is everywhere smiling. They integrated, GPT-3 with technology, with their Bing. And trust me, people like me, we are now using Bing. So they can, something which a organization like Google cannot achieve in last 2020, Microsoft cannot achieve in last 23 years. They were able to achieve it in 2 months. And this is just one software through that, based on that technology. Now, when you're talking about accepting it or rejecting it, there is a lot of, research, academic research that is required. Yes, we have to take it and we have to move forward. But what if there is a other software comes up tomorrow which says, the artificial intelligence will go for teaching, evaluation is not needed at all. So these are the aspects which are very critical to society. And now, as a STS researcher, when we talk about, integration of technology with science and society, we need to understand the nuances behind it. Now, when we talk about, students' assignment, you have to understand the time frame is very low. So by the time government ends up taking a decision on how to use it, or academic institutions take up a decision on how to use it, institution will not close down. They have to work. There is a set model in which they have to evaluate students. So you have to understand from a teacher's perspective also, they have to evaluate students. And suddenly there could be one person who has done a lot of work that comes up with an article, and there's one person who goes on a platform and gets a brief article. How will we differentiate? So that's where these questions are coming right now, and that is why even the Law Institute, Research Institute, Medical Science Institute, and I'm talking about Global Institute, they all are pondering upon it, what to do. So that's the reason why when I say that I'm not even blaming institutions who have blamed, who have officially banned it, is because they want to understand how it will. So any technology, when it comes to in picture, the organization first wants to understand what is its impact going to happen on, the workforce, the learning, the faculties, the students. And that's where we need to understand the whole, because if that's going to change, we need to understand the whole system will be changed. And the people who are hired, just imagine, there are people who are hired in organizations to create content. What will they do? So these are various aspects, and that is the reason why central government came up with a propose a specific department in the new education policy, that when we talk about technology, we need to have academic research in higher education institutions to, understand it and use it judiciously.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharique, for a wonderful lecture and beautiful discussion. Our participants have also contributed. I think, Pragya, you have already given your statement here.
Yes, but I actually have a question for Sharique.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hi, Sharique, that was a very wonderful talk, but you also talked about job replacement and reskilling. And so far, we have been talking about ChatGPT in terms of how it will be used in paper publications, paper writing, or education. But there is other part of education, which is technical education and coding and programming. And we have seen like people are actually talking like how ChatGPT is also coming very rapidly when it comes to coding help and those kind of things. So where do you see, because for the longest time, even with the AI when people were saying like, okay, coding is one of the safer jobs because you are the ones developing it. But right now with such technologies, it's like eating up on the job of its own developers as well. So how do you see that progressing, and what do you see, like, is there any thing happening within the legal system? Like how would, if there are software coming up written by, let's say, such ChatGPT kind of software, what should be like the possible IP sources, or what is the advancement, what is happening in that area?
Okay, so very rightly put, before going to ChatGPT for programming, I think somebody is there, so some of us are here who are aware about programming. You must be aware about GitHub. So what used to happen earlier was, if you are fresh graduate from engineering institution and you are hired, basic nuances of programming, and then you go on GitHub, you get a major chunk of coding, and then you find bugs into it, and then you let the program work. So like I use the two terms, I use creative thinking and innovative ideas. Indeed, programming is one area which I missed because I was talking about academia and its impact. ChatGPT is doing extremely well because, like I said, they have gone through so many of academic text, which includes programming language, that now if you ask them to write, for example, forget about programming, sir, if you want to ask them to write a program of R to do principal component analysis, they'll show you how to do it along with the answer. So this is the way they do it. So yes, the generic work, earlier when you used to say, I know computer programming, that used to be an asset. What I see in future is that will be a basic bare minimum requirement. And skill set will be how you can use it using these tools. So, okay, that GPT is there. Tomorrow, GPT-4 will be there. GPT-5 will be there. Google software will be there. GitHub is there. So, okay, R. Tell me how innovative you are with R if you have this amount of large data set, and what are the various formats. For example, are you well versed with principal and component analysis? So you have to understand, just to give you an example, I can get programming written on R by ChatGPT, but if I don't know don't have a theoretical understanding why basic regression analysis is needed, why principal component analysis is needed, I'll not be able to even, upload the data and get the results out or explain it to people. Similar goes for programming. If you do not understand its nuances, so that's why I said students need to buckle up rather than this whole paper thing. I think like I'll be a little biased as an engineering background person into social sciences, but it is a bare minimum requirement now to understand basic requirement. You need to have a basic understanding of theoretical aspects of research methodologies, R programming, then software codings, Pythons and all. These are very basic things. Very soon when people will be hiring researchers and academicians, and I think more or less now if you go for hiring into a social science and digital humanities, these are basic things people ask you. So it's going to vastly change. This is going, rather than becoming a skill set, it will be a bare minimum skill set that will be required from people.
Yeah, thank you, Sharique, and thank you all audience. It was a wonderful session. I think we require many more such talk in future also. So now there is also time constraint, so we have to bind up this work today here itself. So thank you to all of you. I think this recording will be available on our website. You can access it later on also, and email, other things are also available. If you have any question, Sharique, and you can write to us also. Yeah, thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Dr. Sharique, for spending your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Doing a wonderful lecture. Yeah, thank you. Anupji,
Anyone who want to get in touch with me,